Hello, 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 beautiful people of the world. Welcome to the Happy Conversation Idea Show. Today, I have a very wonderful, charming, and gorgeous, my friend, a Canadian actress, model, and a healer, Mercedes de la Cruz. Mercedes de la Cruz, she's a Canadian actress, international model, certified in energy healer, and coach. She has had over 20 years of modeling career, primarily in print and commercial. Wow. She is known for her roles on many hit TV shows, movies, and is currently filming a made-for-TV Hallmark movie. When she is not acting, she is helping others reach their next level of living through her energy healing and coaching business. Please welcome Mercedes. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Happy. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming. And we are so excited all here to listen to your vast wisdom and your stories. So, without any delay, I would like to ask you the first question. What is the best move you made in your life when you were facing adversity and failure in your career? How did you start it? Please share with us.
What's the best move that I made in my life?
Yes, when you are facing adversity and failure during your beginning of your career.
In the beginning of my career. Wow. Um, ah, I always knew at a really young age what I wanted to do.
Wow.
Actually, I found a letter that I wrote to Oprah when I was a kid.
What?
Yeah, I recently found it, and it was so funny. It was written on this stationery that had cats on it, and it had like a scent to it. And I used these like different color pens to make it pretty. And I must have been like, I don't know, 7. And on the letter, I wrote, well, at the time, backstory, Star Search was like a really big show in the 80s. And, kids would go on there and they would dance or sing or whatever, and it would give them a start. Right. And so I thought,
Okay.
wow, they should do that on the Oprah show. So I made this letter to Oprah saying, I'm from Edmonton and we don't have Star Search. And you should do a show where kids can come on and show their special skills and they can get, noticed. And so I said
Okay.
something around the lines of like, maybe about being a model and then becoming an actor, or I could dance or something like that. So it's interesting, like, to now see that that's actually what happened for me.
Oh, wow. That's
I said
good.
at a really young age that that's what I wanted to do. And it ended up coming about, but it wasn't always that way. I mean, I I definitely had a passion for something like being on stage since I was 3. I
Wow.
was dancing
Great.
on stage, and from there I went into musical theater, and then now film and TV. But you know even even with modeling, for example, like I'm not your typical model. I'm small. I'm not even 5'4", right? Like they always said, like, you can't be a model. You're too small. And when I was little, I would hold on my bedpost and get my mom to pull my legs so I'd get taller. I don't think it worked, or maybe it did. But I didn't let these ideas or these things get in the way of what I really truly wanted. So
Okay.
even though it was one of those things where like, well, that won't happen, you're from Alberta, or that won't happen, you're too small, or whatever, I was like, I still feel like I can. So I kept a positive attitude, and would strive anyway. Like, I think it's really important to dream and realize that like you can have anything you want.
Hmm.
I guess one of the biggest things, the biggest challenges for me, was a story that I made up when I was a small child. And, I had amazing parents. I didn't know my natural birth father really. So it was my mom and I. And later on, I do now have a father who adopted me, and he's fantastic.
Nice.
But, you know, my mom was a really great mother in a sense of like, she gave me lots of awesome attributes. She's super outgoing, energetic, full of life, very independent, great cook, all these things. And I did take on a lot of those. However, it was no secret that she suffered from really severe depression long before I was born. And so at a really young age, I saw my mom be upset, and I made it my job to make her happy.
So
And,
nice of you.
sure, yeah, except for it's not my job, right? And so that, I think that was one of the biggest hurdles for me, was I made this belief that it was up to me to make everybody around me happy that weren't happy. And it's
Hmm.
one of those jobs that you can't excel at, because it doesn't matter. Like, I could give you all the clothes or the last shirt on my back, all the money in my bank account, and you could still have a crappy day, because
True.
it's choice, right?
Choice.
Yes. And we all have it. And even though we do have it, sometimes it doesn't feel like we have it. We don't feel like we have the choice. It feels like the world is doing this to me. And how could I possibly choose happiness in this situation? However, like I said, I made up the belief that the reason she was upset was because of me.
Yep.
And it was my job to make her happy. So, I mean, everything was great when she's in a good mood, but then when she wasn't, and like I said, she suffered from depression, I made it mean something about me. So in
Nice.
that, this big job, this weight on my shoulders translated into the rest of my life. It wasn't just at home, it was at school too, right? Like, I was bullied a lot. And I thought that it was because of me, like, I must be doing something wrong here. And also, I'm doing a really bad job of my job of keeping everybody happy, because look, they're in crappy moods and they're laying it out on me. So I think that was my biggest hurdle in the beginning, was not allowing what was happening outside of me, the people in my world, letting them have whatever emotion they were having, and knowing that it had nothing to do with me. But at a young
Okay.
age,
So
I just didn't understand that,
yeah.
right? And
Great.
so I think because I felt responsible for that, and it was a really heavy burden, I started drinking pretty young. You know, I
Oh,
I I was, yeah, I like to party,
okay.
I used to blame it on the fact that I lived in Alberta and there wasn't a lot to do there except for drink. But I think as it got, into my years, I realized that, like, the party stopped, and I was just doing it to self-soothe. I didn't
Oh,
want to feel bad anymore, like that I had done something wrong. So I think, with alcohol, and that being a big part of my life, in my teens and 20s, and then that turning into drugs,
uh,
that was a huge hindrance on my career, right? I had lots of successes at that
of course, you
time.
have a lot. Not
I
even
had,
there's
exactly.
plenty
So it
of that.
wasn't,
We can't even count.
yeah, it wasn't that I was a total disaster, but it was just a small glimpse of the actual potential that I really had.
Okay.
So I think, like I
So
said, the first thing, go
did you
ahead.
find joy in that while during this adversity? As you said, you was an intoxication and a little drugs and all, but this was a temporary that you knew that is not gonna really help me. So how did you find joy in that, or did you were actually waiting for the joy for your career?
Well, I I found like it was a vicious cycle, because I would, let's say, I'd be feeling really good,
Yeah.
and I would get to this place of elation, and everything was going right, and all of the things were showing up, and I was really enjoying life, and then I would party. And then, the next day I would feel really terrible.
Terrible.
And yeah, and that would go on for 3 to 5 days. I would
Yeah.
feel like garbage. I'd feel like I wanted to die. There was tons of times where I would get to a super, super low, where I thought I just wanted to end it. And
Oh,
that there was all of this guilt and suffering and pain that I was basically putting onto myself, right? Like, it wasn't anybody else's fault but my own. And I was doing it to myself. But I finally, after like 3 to 5 days, I would start feeling better again, right? And I would get to like this elation feeling again, and things were going well. My relationships were good, and then I'd party again. So it was this
the
vicious cycle.
circle.
And
How did you
yeah,
come out with that? And then you focused on your career and that you got massive success.
Well, when I got to this place, I was still living in Edmonton and I was feeling miserable. And I called a close friend of mine, and he was kind of like a life coach for me. He'd been taking my photos since I was 17 years old. He knew me really well. And he was like, Mercedes, what would make you really happy? Like
That's nice.
what do you want to be doing? And I said, well, I want to be acting. I want to be like, that would get me up in the morning. That would be something that
Get up.
because like at the time I was doing some acting and I was modeling and traveling and I had multiple businesses, but primarily the business that I was working on mostly at that time was this home decor and painting company,
Nice.
which was very successful. But I wasn't like, let's get up in the morning to paint.
Oh, you can get,
You know,
it's good.
it wasn't my passion.
Great.
So
So your
he
friend,
told me,
go ahead.
so he told me to well, he's like, okay, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to be acting. He goes, okay, you got to move. You got to move. You got to get out of Edmonton. No stars are born in Edmonton. Let's get you to Vancouver. So I gave all my stuff away basically, and whatever I could fit in my Volvo, I drove out to Vancouver to start a new life. And it was a really interesting time for me because I went from having this 3,000 square foot home, multiple vehicles, all the Louis Vuitton purses you could imagine, and like leaving it all behind because
Starting a
that
new
stuff
career.
didn't
Yeah.
actually make me happy. Yeah. It didn't, all that outside stuff didn't give me the joy that I thought it did. So I left it all behind and went and moved into a 400 square foot bachelor pad that wasn't even a legal suite.
Okay, great. Well, this is excellent. You shared your journey. And the second question is, who inspired you to become the successful woman you are today? You talked
Wow.
about your friend who was a photographer. Is that was the one, or there isn't someone special person who inspired you?
I don't think it's anybody in particular. I think it's, this is interesting. I think God or the universe or whoever you want to say, this higher power, like shows up in everybody
Buddy.
at different times. So, like I once had a dance teacher that called me her gem and like brought me under her wing and was super compassionate with me. And like, she was a huge influence. And then I have friends that at certain times just said some certain thing that pushed me in a direction to do something, or, I'm working somewhere or just meeting somebody out of the blue. And they say something so super empowering that was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. Right.
Okay.
So for me, it's not one person. It's a
It's the
combination
universe
of
or God. So you give credit to God and universe. That's so kind of you. That's why we call humble. Okay. So now, as you mentioned earlier in our bio, like, being an actress and model and healing. And so as it's a special day, today is a Valentine's Day. So we would like to learn from your wise wisdom about something about relationship. And I think that is a very appropriate time to ask you and take your precious advice and suggestion on that. So please tell us like what a good relationship means.
okay. Well, I think, and I did touch on that before, was realizing that you're not responsible for anybody else's feelings and upsets and all of that. However, realizing that everybody is having their own journey and their own experience. And
Okay.
so it's in any relationship, it doesn't have to be, a sexual relationship or anything like that, but it could just be between friends.
Friends, yeah.
Is to allow people's perspective,
Love
right?
it.
Like if you're feeling a certain way about something, okay, great. I don't have to be right about my way. I don't have to show you or have you understand my way, but it can be part of a conversation, but not having to feel like you need to be right.
Right. Okay.
I think that's a huge one for me. And with my partner as well, like we've been off and on for, it will be 7 years in March. And
Okay.
we have a very successful relationship now, but it wasn't always that way.
Yeah.
The biggest thing now for us is honesty. And I don't just
Honesty.
mean, and I don't just mean honesty like, where I went and what I did, but
Yeah.
honesty about where I'm at, what I'm feeling, and what my needs are right now.
That's good. Thanks. Lovely. Tell us, like, if a couple stuck in a bad relationship, what advice can you give?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to realize that the relationship that you're having is actually one with yourself. And so every time I think I'm talking about the other person, like you do this and you do that, I'm actually talking about me.
Okay,
And
that's
so
interesting.
if I think I'm in a bad relationship, what I'm doing is I'm not taking responsibility for my feelings, for my emotions, and for my experience. And I'm blaming you for my experience. But as we know, which is what I talked about earlier, is like I could give you the last shirt on my back and all the money in my bank account, and you could still have a crappy day. It's not about the other person, right?
Yes.
So I think, and this is what's happened a lot in my relationship with my partner, is when things are going bad, to take our own time to realize that this is an inner journey. This is the work for me. Because when I'm in a really happy place, everybody around me seems to be doing pretty good. When I'm in a bad feeling place, I start to project out there and I start to see things in a negative way.
Okay.
So if I just get good with me,
That would be a
then I
great,
can
awesome
see
thing.
then I can see the beauty in everybody else.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
That's well said.
yeah.
Okay. So now tell us that how partners can bloom in a relationship or blossom in a relationship.
Right. Well, I think being completely self-expressed in your relationship is really important.
Okay.
You know, like if if there's a desire that I have or something that I like to do or whatever that might be, it's really important that I do that. And
Okay.
it's really important that my partner goes and does that. I don't want to dim my light because I think that it might, you know, dampen theirs, right? People succeed and bloom together when they're both just self-expressed, able to do what it is that they want to do without guilt and without judgment, right?
Without
So
guilt and judgment. I like that.
yeah, I with my partner and I, we really focus a lot on the fact that um, it's we want the other person to go and do. We don't have rules and restrictions like, oh, you can't hang out with that person or you can't go and do that thing. No, go and do it. Go do what lights you up. Go do what makes you happy, because when you're happy and the other person is happy, then you come together and it's a beautiful relationship.
So true.
But when I'm holding back or not allowing the other person to go be and do everything that they want, then we're not self-expressed and it can't be a happy relationship.
That's good.
So
Allowing
that's
the
the kind of
freedom.
partnership I want. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the key thing to blossom and giving us freedom to each other and respecting at the same time. That's great. So tell us, what is the most important foundation of the relationship with family and spouse? A lot of time, there's a big family, they live together beside or close by, and it is very hard to balance those things sometimes. So what important foundations or key thing someone can, what advice
Well,
would you like?
I think it's the same thing I said before about honesty,
Okay.
right? So if something's working for me, say it. If something's not working for me, say it, right? Like we're scared, or I know for myself, I can't speak for everybody, but as human beings, it feels like we're scared to be honest and truthful about everything that's happening for us because maybe we might hurt the other person's feelings. But it's not up to us to try to manipulate that. It's not up to me to try to pad things so that you feel better. But it is up to me to have an intention of just love and then tell you whatever it is that's going on out of a place of love.
Okay.
The intention that I give anything will be the result that I get.
True.
So if I go into a conversation being, you know, centering myself and wanting peace, love, and joy, then that's what I'll achieve. And even if maybe it's not received by the other person that way completely, I can feel rest assured that that was my intention. And if they take it wrong, then I'm sorry, that's not my intention. I was only trying to love you.
All right,
So
that's good.
I think that's the important
And
thing,
part
is
of the foundation. Well, that's
just
great.
being
Well said.
honest.
Now,
Mhm.
as we're going to touch base again on your first question, when you said when you're in the early 20s and all, you have drinks and drugs and all. Um, what advice would you give someone to avoid intoxication and have a best life?
Well, I there's a time and a place for everything, and I can't say that my drinking was a bad thing, because it was the thing that brought me to really search more for my spirituality, right?
Okay.
And so everything happens perfectly. However, if you find that you're in a place where alcohol is not working for you anymore, you got to let it go, right? No good comes out of doing something that you feel guilty about, because you're back to the same thing, which is what I was talking about earlier, intention. So
Yes.
it doesn't really matter what you're doing, but it does matter how you feel about what you're doing. So
Okay.
some people can have a drink and it's no big deal. Some people can drink, every weekend or every night and have a glass of wine and no big deal. But for me, I knew that it wasn't working for me and I was doing it anyway.
So you came
And
to that
I
point,
couldn't,
yeah.
yeah, and I couldn't start my healing journey until I took the alcohol away, because I needed to take the guilt away.
Yeah.
I needed to realize that I'm not bad and guilty and I don't deserve punishment and I didn't do anything wrong. But I couldn't be doing that while I was doing this, because every time I did this, I felt bad and guilty.
Okay, so self-discipline and self-awareness. So you got self-aware that this is not working out. It's enough is enough, and I need to move to my career. And this is not helping me and slowing down my brain and my ability to. So you got self-discipline over that too. That's wonderful. Now you said you're also a wonderful healer and a coach in spirituality, and a lot of clients has got massive results and got a best lifestyle. Please tell me, like, what spirituality means to you.
Well, it's interesting, is since I was really young, I was always searching for God. And I didn't really know what that meant. We weren't a really religious family at all. Like, I went to a Catholic school, but my parents didn't go to church. Um, but I would make friends with people that did go to church, and then I would try to sleep over at their house on Saturday night so that I could go to church on Sunday.
Wow.
My mom was always like, I don't understand where this came from. Like, we never talked about this stuff. And so I, I kept trying to find God, and I went to different kinds of churches, and I tried different modalities. And then the more that I looked for God in those places, the more I felt like that wasn't where God was. And it wasn't until, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago, there was a church that I went to called the Center of Spiritual Living, and it was here in Vancouver. Actually, it burnt down. uh,
Wow.
yeah. And the pastor was this lesbian woman, and she was just so bright and shiny, and it was so cute. Her girlfriend was in their little choir, and she did the shaker, and I would just watch the pastor like watch her do the shaker, and she was so proud. And it was such a beautiful place to be. And in that church, they started talking about a book called A Course in Miracles, and it's all about changing your perspective. And shortly after I had quit drinking, I was introduced to Landmark, which is a personal
Okay.
development
Yes.
program.
Program.
And
Yes.
that's right. That's all about
Wonderful.
same thing, about changing your perspective. And the longer or the more I kept going in the spiritual journey, I kept seeing like everything was about changing the perspective, um, and realizing that God is everywhere. God
Wow.
is here. I am God. You are God. God shows up in everything. I don't have to go to church for that.
Yeah.
I have
You
all
said
the answers inside me.
that's
I'm powerful, right?
so true.
And so that's what spirituality is for me now. It's realizing that there's a Christ within, and there's nothing
That's
I need
true.
to do, and it's all
Amen.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's well said. Thanks so much. So tell us more a little bit about your the current profession you are also into healing, and how does it work, and what specialize you are in, so that the audience can get benefit out of it. So
Okay, cool. So shortly after, actually, I quit drinking, I started seeing energy or what I thought was energy. I didn't know. Um, but yeah, I would see things. And so I started asking God or the universe, what's my special gift to share? Where should I go? What should I do? What should I say? And to whom? I started asking these questions. And then all of these new ideas started coming my way, which was energy work. And I knew nothing about it. I didn't even understand or know that that was even a thing. And so I started taking classes, and I started with a group called Access Consciousness, and
Okay.
I went to school for what's called Access Bars. What that
Okay.
is there's 32 points on your skull, and each point correlates to a different area of your life. So
Wow.
one point might be sexuality, one point might be body, one point might be creativity, what have you. Start a flow of energy through each point. And what happens is it's almost like pushing delete on your hard drive. All of these points of view, negative beliefs, things that are standing in my way or creating the same experience over and over that maybe I don't want, will be eliminated.
Okay.
So I learned how to do that. I learned how to do another one called the Axis Facelift. And that one is all about touch on the face. And that eliminates points of views, things like that, that actually start changing the way you look. You look
Oh, wow.
younger, your hair can
Beauty.
grow back. You're like, my nose got smaller. Like, I mean, there's lots of interesting side effects for women. Actually, it gives you a bit of a breast lift and a butt lift. Like,
Wow.
it's wild. And there's no creams, there's no injections, there's no nothing. It's just
Okay.
energy. So I thought, wow, if that's possible with touch, what else is possible? And then I went and I became what's called a breatharian. And a breatharian is someone who can heal, not just heal, sorry, can fuel their body by
Okay.
not just eating food, but by love, by breath. And so I actually stopped eating food for about 6 months. And I just
Good.
through
Six
breath
months.
work,
That's a
yeah,
lot.
just through breath work, changing your mind to what's possible. Um, and I drank some liquids here and there. Uh, you could sustain your body, but not just that. I had more energy than ever. I was healing in places like I didn't even know I could. I barely needed any sleep. And during that time, I could really hear consciousness. I could
Wow.
really hear, like, all of those memes that you see right on Instagram or whatever, like, talking about spirit, like all the spiritual quotes. All of a sudden I started really understanding them at a cellular level. And what I found is when I would go and work with my clients, I would just get a knowing of
Okay.
something for them. So I would get a picture in my mind of something that happened in their past. And then I would be able to,
Okay.
to tell them about it. And we would be able to get to the bottom of what that was. Or I would get a sensation in my body that would correlate to the body of my client. And I would be able to release it in me, which in turn would release in them. Or I would just get a knowing, like out of the blue. I would just be sitting with them and I'd be like, okay, what's wrong with being a woman? And it's just something that I just thought. And my client was like, everything. And, we were
They
able to
got
get to the
healed.
bottom of that.
Wow.
So it's been this
Excellent.
like progressive journey where it started with just, me touching my clients to now I don't even have to touch them. And we're able to get to the bottom of a lot of things that are stopping them from having their best life.
That's right. Okay. That's
So
fair enough.
yeah, a
That's
lot of my
nice.
work, a lot of my work I can do either online or in person.
Oh, that's good. We will get into that. We'll share your information later too. We'll go back to your journey about your acting and modeling, and a lot of inspiring and aspiring new models and actor are there out there, and there are a lot of myths out there. Would you like to share some do's and don'ts, like when you were starting your acting career and all, and you felt like these are not appropriate, these are the things you should be doing more of or less of? What tips and advice would you give to an aspiring actor or model?
Well, acting is a forever journey.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of like if you think of hockey, for example, and you get into the NHL, you don't stop practicing. You practice more.
Yes.
So it's the same thing with acting. We're constantly evolving and growing. And because we're portraying characters that are people, you
Yeah.
know, you have to just keep learning about you. You have to shed these beliefs and ideas that you have about yourself so that you can be a vessel for whatever character that might be.
Okay.
So training is really important. Spiritual work is really important. Meditation is really important. Also, you want to take good care of your body. And yeah, but it starts with your mind.
True.
So, you know, I can't stress it enough. Like meditate. Do what sparks joy in you. That's really important too. What's your intention behind what you're doing? Are
Motives.
Are you acting because you love it, or are you doing it because you're trying to prove something or whatever? And, you know, figure out what that is, and then make sure that you're doing it for joy. Because then you'll have success.
True.
Eating right. Like it's really important. I know, you know, even when I was drinking heavily, if I knew that I had a gig, or I wanted to work on something or whatever, like I wouldn't be drinking. You have to be prepared. You don't know when you're going to get an audition. So, you know, sometimes you'll get an audition that night. You got to have it done by the morning. You can't be drunk and trying to figure that out. So, you're always kind of trying to be ready to be ready to be ready.
Preparation meets opportunity. That's well great. I've been into modeling and acting before past life, and had an agency groomed thousands of models, and also been there, done that. Self-discipline is very important. Maintaining our body, knowing what we want, how we're doing, persistence. It won't happen overnight. I have thousands of auditions and all didn't get success in that and moved on, but I still kept going on and all. Well, that's great. Would you like to share some of your greatest moment from your modeling industry when you were traveling around, and things that didn't go according to you? Any incident that would you like to share that, you expected that's going to be big?
According.
And how did you find joy in that? Because there's always when you wanted to do something and then you get discouraged.
I think one of my biggest successes is being able to roll with the punches. And I know, and I think also, like, I mean, this, since I was really young, my mom, there would be changes of plans all the time. So you had to just be prepared. But you know, like there's been times where I've been, this happened to me. I was traveling. I was in, gosh, where was I? The Cayman Islands? The Bahamas. I was filming a show called Supermodel Sports. And gosh, I don't know, I must have been like 21 or something. This is a long time ago, like I'm 39. So it's hard to remember completely. But I had just had a bladder infection before I went on this trip. And I was taking these pills for this bladder infection. And apparently I'm allergic, or found out after, I'm allergic to Bactrim, which is what these pills were. So I get to the Bahamas. At first I was feeling pretty fine. The next day I woke up and we were supposed to do this shoot in the morning. And I was covered in hives, red hives all over my body, all over my face. And the shoot that we were doing was a workout video.
Oh, wow.
And so it was supposed to be in like a crop top and like short shorts and, you know, hair back in a ponytail and like, you know, doing the whole thing. And I got up and everyone looked at me like, you can't shoot like that. Like, that's bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, change of plans. You know, I found some workout pants that were longer. I wore a zip up hoodie and I did the moves from behind. So I was the backside.
That's a good trick.
Any more of like seeing this smiley face doing it. It was like, okay, let's flip her around. So yeah, you got to roll with the punches. You never know what's going to happen.
Wow,
with
good.
A grain of salt.
So what are your suggestions on when you had a lot of adversities during your acting career, modeling, and what are the key points would you like to share that to overcome the adversity or frustration?
Number one is nothing's constant. This too shall pass.
Okay.
And it's hard to realize that in the moment, because in the moment it feels like forever, but the only thing constant is change. And I
Yeah.
know that's like so cliche and you hear it all the time, but like you hear it all the time because it's true.
Okay.
So, realizing that just because this is my experience right now
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it has to be my experience anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so sleep it off,
Okay.
have a nap, um, go do something you love, play with your dog, call your mom or your friend if you don't get along with your mom,
Yeah.
whatever that might be. Um, just realize that like whatever feeling that I'm having right now is just an emotion and it will go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. We'll talk. Can you just share about our relationship again back now during the pandemic from last year? Everybody was isolated and far away, and a lot of very close people, they could not manage to meet each other and all. What are the key things that, according to you, that you can say that if you are distant from your relation, your partners and all, how you can still maintain that relationship, bonding and all, if you're even far
Mm,
from that?
okay. Well, I think the first thing that has to be said is you get what you're looking for. We get what we focus on. So first, if I want to have a close relationship with my family, I have to stop talking about how I don't have a close relationship with my family.
Okay,
Um,
that's a good point.
secondly, when I do talk to them, um, it's important to talk about stuff that lights you up, not the pandemic. You
Yes,
talk about the pandemic and the things you can't do, then you're focusing on more things you don't want, and then you'll get more things you don't want.
true.
So again, drop the story. Drop
Okay,
the story of what's currently happening. Talk about things that you do want to have happen and focus on the things that you can control, right?
true.
Or the things that are working. Like, yeah, I can't see grandma for Christmas this year, but boy, is it ever cool to see her try to figure out Zoom, you know? Right? Like, um, there's always a hidden gem and there's always a shiny perspective in every circumstance. And so if I want to maintain a good, healthy, happy relationship, then I have to find whatever that might be for me, whatever
Wow,
that may be for you. And they're both going to be different. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but like, I don't mind the pandemic at all. I
that's
think
good.
that this has been a beautiful experience for myself, for my family, for most of the people in my reality have really found beautiful outcomes out of this. Great reflection, getting to do things that like we've been putting off, doing that crazy haircut. I don't know, I'm making it up, but that I was scared to do. Getting out of our way, relaxing, taking a minute. Like I know for myself, it was like I needed to be forced to slow down or I wouldn't have slowed down, you know,
Wow, that's good.
self-reflection, all of that.
Affection for that. Yeah. Thanks. What advice would you like to give to the young adults when they're starting their career, but they fall in love? Maybe it sounds like an infatuation, but they tend to forget their career and focus too much on the love relationship, which is good, but sometimes they're not able to balance both career and relationship, especially for young adults. What advice would you like to give so that they can get a massive result, success in personal and professional life while maintaining the relationship?
Right. So you're speaking my language because I've done that a lot. Going back to how it was with my relationship with my mom, like I felt it was responsible for me to make everybody happy. So same thing. I'd like to
Yeah.
be in a relationship, and I was a serial monogamist. I always had a long-term boyfriend, and I would go from long-term boyfriend to long-term boyfriend because I really like to be in relationship. And I would focus so much time and energy on the other person and their career, and I would forget about me. Um, and then there would be a resentment that would kind of slowly step in. However, my partner never said I needed to do that. No one ever said that I needed to focus
Yeah.
all of my time and energy on them. I made it up. And so I think now what keeps my relationship strong and what people need to do is like I need to fill up my own cup first
True.
before I can fill up the cup of anybody else. And so rather than making it my job to make you happy so then I can be happy, I need
Yeah.
to make me happy first. And in that
Okay.
is focusing on my career, is focusing on the things that light me up. And whatever, like it's crazy. I prompt everyone to give this a shot. Like, just focus on yourself for like half a day or a day or whatever. I'm not saying like, we shouldn't be serving, because I obviously believe in serving the other. But if I just work on me for that day and do one thing that lights me up from another thing that lights me up, even if it doesn't make rhyme or reason, maybe I feel like having a shower. Maybe now I want to do my toenails. Maybe now I want to eat, I don't know, a rice cake. Like, it doesn't have to make sense, but I just do a bunch of things that feel good. All of a sudden my vibration is up here. And then all
Exactly.
the things that I want just start coming to me. I don't need to go out and try to be the best actress or try to get the biggest job. They'll just come to me because I'm on that high flying disc. And then
Lovely.
my relationship is beautiful too.
True. Well said that. So focusing on that, what exactly, and balancing with yourself and your spouse and your family too as well. Great. So now let's do this round we call Make the World Happy round. So we will
Oh,
have some wonderful questions for you and see what we learn from you, which the world did not know. Okay, so what is your favorite song?
oh my gosh. Can I say next? Like, I don't know. Okay, hold on. I love Paul Simon. So like
Okay,
anything from Paul Simon, Graceland, that album.
okay, good. What is your favorite word?
Word,
Yes.
word. Wow. These are hard, Happy. These are hard.
Well, everything easy won't be sound good. Our audience would like to know. You're
My
actress and model. You should be more spontaneous. I know you are, but you've been
my
kind.
favorite word. You know what? I had this dog named Pepsi,
Okay.
and he was just the best. So when I hear the word Pepsi, I never think of the drink. I think of that dog. So let's go
Okay.
with Pepsi.
What is your least favorite word?
Oh gosh. Can't.
Okay. What turns you on more?
What turns me on more than what?
I don't know. Anything.
What you mean? What turns me on?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely 100%. Um, honesty.
Okay. Okay. What turns you off?
Oh, dishonesty.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Ah, when I was younger, I loved The Game, and
Okay.
then I loved Forrest Gump.
Oh,
Uh,
lovely. Tom
these are
Hanks.
but
That's
these
my
are
favorite.
yeah,
I know it's
these are
my
old.
favorite too.
These are old.
Tom's. Okay. Which is your least favorite movie? Your
Uh,
directors won't kill you. Don't worry.
probably just I don't like horror films.
Okay.
Um, However, now I've done quite a few horror films,
I
and now I
know.
know how they're made.
Yeah.
And so now I just think they're ridiculous and they're not scary anymore. But I saw this, it was The Phantom of the Opera. I saw the film when I was, I don't know, maybe like 12 or something. And it scared the living bejesus out of me. There was like this rolling head. And
Oh
anyways, I
my
couldn't
God.
sleep for like weeks. Yeah.
Wow. What is the favorite sound you love to listen?
My favorite sound.
Sound or
I love the,
voice?
yeah, I love the waves.
Okay. Me too. I
Yeah.
love ocean wave. When I'm doing
Or the
nothing,
rain.
I'm on the beach, sitting quietly and admiring the beauty of the ocean and the waves. It's so blissful. Great. If you were born again, what profession would you like to choose?
Oh,
And
well,
you will born again. Don't worry. But what profession would you like to choose?
see, that's a tough one. I always wanted to do what I'm doing. And then I didn't even know that like energy healing was a thing. And then that came out of nowhere. So, see, I also like always loved interior design. And then I had this home decor and painting company. I feel like I've done the things that I've wanted to do.
Okay.
So I would just be up for like something really different.
Okay. What would be that?
I like to cook.
Okay, so you'll be a chef.
Yeah, okay, I'll be a
Working in
chef.
a five-star hotel, maybe you will create your own five-star hotel. That's good.
When I
Okay.
was a kid, actually, I used to like, I used to make little menus and bring my parents downstairs, and I would pretend it was a restaurant,
Yeah.
and I would have them choose on the menu, and then I would go upstairs and I'd cook the food really fast, and I would make the ambiance and the candles or whatever. And yeah, like they would have to sit in the basement while I waited, while
Wow.
I cooked the food,
So here
and then
here's
I'd
the
bring
hit.
it down.
We got a hidden cook, a chef
Yeah.
inside our show today. Okay, next. Imagine if God grants you one wish on Valentine's Day, what it would be.
Hmm. One wish. Wow. See, I'm really happy with how life is going.
Okay.
I guess the one wish would be that everyone could see their own beauty.
Ah, so beautiful. So
Because
beautiful.
sometimes, like, it's so hard for us to see it in ourselves. We can see it in others, but it's hard to see our
You're
own. And
so
if everyone saw us the way that, like, we saw them,
beautiful. What a beautiful.
yeah.
Well said. Which is your favorite actor?
Okay. Well, I love Daniel Day-Lewis, Philip Seymour Hoffman, um, Meryl Streep. Like these are all just amazing actors and actresses. So like
Lovely.
I can't nail it down to one.
So true. So you're not gonna disappoint others.
Yeah, and like a lot of them, some of them are dead, some of them are
Uh,
alive. They're
okay.
great storytellers. So
Okay. Which is your favorite actress?
oh, actress.
Yes.
Oh well, Meryl Streep.
Okay.
I mean, like she's a queen. I'm like, what do you? It's tough
Lovely.
to, yeah.
Which is your favorite movie or TV show you did?
Um. Well, actually, I once did this commercial for Walmart,
Oh, okay.
and this is so it's silly because like it's not anything. It's just a commercial, but in the commercial I was this mom and I was doing Zumba with my daughter, okay, and in the commercial it looks as though this is our house, like they had gotten pictures from us beforehand and put pictures everywhere of like, oh I hit that, of me and my and my daughter, yeah. And anyway, I was supposed to have an infant and then this like 5-year-old or 8-year-old, however old she was. Anyway, during this shoot, we played and we danced and I was like throwing her around and we were like hugging, and just the kind of connection that we had in that commercial shoot
Yeah.
brought me so much love and joy. I
Lovely.
didn't want that day to end. It was like
Okay.
my favorite, absolute favorite day on set, and it was a Walmart commercial.
Okay.
It was crazy, and even the girl, like at the end of the shoot, she was crying and she didn't want to leave my side. And
Oh,
I've seen her now in a few other commercials, and it's really quite cute.
lovely. Good.
Yeah.
Next, you're so kind. Okay, if God makes you a man for a
Yeah.
day, what would you like to do more of and less of?
I don't know if I would do anything different if I was a guy. Like I'm pretty much me. I try to do and say whatever I feel, do and say. So and I don't feel like there's restrictions on if you're a man or a woman. So that's a
Okay.
really tough question. Like I would just be doing probably the same thing, but
Okay.
I would have different parts.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, why did you choose to become an actress?
Well, I think after doing a lot of this work, spiritual work, I think the reason why I did was, if I think back on me wanting to make my mom happy, I was trying to entertain her.
Okay,
Right?
good.
I was trying to be this entertainer, trying to be on, trying to, liven the show. And so I think that's probably where it all started, was
Good.
just
Okay,
wanting to light people up.
that's good. Okay, how many maximum retakes you have ever given during your shootings?
Retake
Yes.
for a scene.
Yes.
Hmm.
Maximum.
Ah, well, I'm pretty good with lines.
Okay.
So it hasn't been crazy actually. Actually there's been there's been times where like I thought I was doing it wrong because the director would be like, okay, next. And like we wouldn't do it again. And I thought, oh, they just don't like what I'm doing. But it's the other way around. Like they got it. So
So
uh
you
sorry.
4, 5, 6, 10.
Oh no, no,
No.
no, no. I think,
One,
you know,
two.
I,
I'm not
one
I'm not insulting your intelligence. I'm just
no,
giving you
no, of
numbers.
course not. No, of course not. I think this one time when I was in Argentina and I was supposed to throw this water on this girl and like I missed and then she missed and they wanted me to come up with my own lines for part of it and I was scared and I was like I didn't know there probably was 8
Okay. All right. So we'll take 8 is my lucky number. Cool.
takes.
Okay. What do you do when you are happy?
It's more like what do I not do when I'm happy? Because
Okay.
I like to do whatever when I'm
Okay.
happy. Like it's like let's go be silly. Let's go play. Let's
Okay.
let's do things we wouldn't normally
Do,
do.
okay. What do you do when you are unhappy?
um, Probably lay down.
Okay.
Like I think too because I felt like I was supposed to be on and so happy for everyone else. When I'm unhappy, I don't want anyone to see.
Okay.
So I would maybe like seclude, go to a place where like no one would see that I wasn't perfect because I had this idea of like always having to be on, always having to be happy. And when I'm not, I'm like feel like a phony or something.
Okay.
So then I would have to
Okay.
hide.
Okay. Do you lie?
Do I lie?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
It's interesting. I didn't realize like because I would always in the past I'd come up with stories or say like maybe I'd embellish things to make things like sound more interesting like for a fun story like not
Okay.
not purposely trying to make things up but um
Okay.
just like entertain, right?
Yeah.
And I now I won't do it. Like
Okay.
there's now for myself, like anytime I now know if I do lie or if somebody's lying, what you're instantly doing is you're saying that you're bad and guilty. And I don't want to be guilty. I didn't
Good.
do anything wrong.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I always tell the truth now.
Humble. That's why you are healer. Okay. Last one. What is your favorite word or quote
My favorite
to the world?
quote.
Yeah. Or your own quote or favorite quote.
So this is bad. I used to have a quote, and I found this in a yearbook. This is not my favorite anymore, but I just wanted it's kind of a funny story. And the quote was, and this is sad. I think I put this in my grade 9 yearbook, and it
Okay.
said, "Why am I so thirsty this morning when I drank so much last night?"
Wow. Why
Now,
I am so thirsty this moment when I drank so much last night. That's good. That's good to be
yeah.
away.
So that was the old quote. That was when I would drink a lot.
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
but my new favorite quote, it's not that anymore.
Okay.
I drink a lot, but water. Um,
Good.
my new favorite quote is everything's always working out for me.
Everything is working out for me. I love that. So
Always.
so positive and inspiring and impacting. Great.
But
Well,
it's true.
Mercedes, that's so true. That's so true. Okay, last question. If you would be the host of this show and I would be the guest, what question would you ask me?
Okay. Um, so happy.
Okay.
Um, if you were a woman,
Yeah.
what would you want to do?
I would love to. I will ask a wish from God what men thinks and what woman thinks. to have that ability to know about and read in advance so that I can be the best version of myself.
If you were a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, I needed to
Okay.
ask you that question because that was a hard one for
Okay.
me
All right.
anyway.
That's great. Well,
Mhm.
Mercedes, thanks so much. It was an honor, pleasure to have you on our show. You shared your wise wisdom, your story. It's very inspiring and empowering. I hope all the audience loved it, and they will definitely. There was a lot of comments out down below there too. Um, And thanks so much to the lovely audience who have been a very great part of the show and recommending and asking question online. We will definitely answer all that. Until next Sunday, we will have a very special guest coming up. But do not forget the 8 secret of happiness Mercedes has not told to the world, and it will be connected and edited on YouTube before. So
Well,
thanks so much, Mercedes, for being on the Happy Conversation Idea Show. You shared your ideas, your wisdom, and we are very grateful and thankful to you. Till then, take care of yourself. God bless.
thank you.